Hey guys, here we are, special edition of the Nuke Stream. I have a guest that you guys are probably all familiar with today. His name is Terrance Popp, former Army Ranger and all around dude, you know? So we're going to talk and get into some important things that really hit home for me, my friends, and hopefully you guys can take something out of this because out of all the guys here, I think he won't admit it, but he's the most compassionate and he cares the most.
Please don't put that title on me.
So, all right, Terrence, nice to have you here, man. You're a pretty cool dude, very funny. I like your humor, obviously, it's because I served for 6 years as a nuclear operator for the Navy. Just give people a quick rundown of your service and all that.
Well, I went in the military at 17 in 1986, and then I retired in 2018. They forced me out. They made me medically retire.
Okay.
I wanted to stay for 40, but I'm glad I didn't because I would have gotten in trouble with this insanity that's now taking place.
Yeah. Okay, so you started doing the YouTube thing, and how did that start? Like, what got you into the YouTube stuff?
Well, hang on a minute. I got divorced.
Yeah, that's the origin story for a lot of guys.
I'm serious. Once you get divorced, you get to see what's really behind the curtain.
The things they don't tell you. No one wants to tell you.
Yes. And I was all before my divorce, I was red, white, and blue for this country. I mean, I did amazing things in the service of my country that almost cost me my life and probably my immortal soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to divorce court. The Constitution doesn't exist. I lost everything, wound up homeless, living out of my car after the fact. And that's a real humbling experience. So that took me a while to unpack that.
Yeah. A lot of my friends who went through that, it took them years. They weren't the same guy after that. Took them
Yeah,
years to get
and
back to.
when it happened to me, I actually went to one of my best friends in tears because I was absolutely ashamed because he'd been going through that for like a half a decade before me, and I
Mhm.
was totally oblivious to his pain. And I'm like, I am the lowest fucking piece of aquatic pond scum there is. I am sorry.
I didn't know. I had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, we don't talk about.
No,
We just take it and
that's what
keep it in. Yeah.
that's what dudes do. You take the beating and you keep moving forward. That's how you win.
Yeah.
The men of today take the beating, sit down and cry and whine and live in their victim mentality. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And wait for someone to rescue them. So yeah, one of the things we talk about is that we're not here to save men. We're here to give them the tools so they can save themselves.
That's all you can ever do.
Because saving men it defeats the point, right?
Well, now let's pack let's back that up too.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a time in your life where you just might need somebody to come save you, but only after everything else has been exhausted. You're not, oh, help me all of a sudden, and then, oh yeah, we're gonna
Yeah, the
drop
first sign
everything.
of inconvenience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I have ridden to the rescue for many of my friends at the point of that they needed it the most. I don't show up for, I hurt my finger, and I show up for like I'm been thrown out of my house. Get a truck, help me move. Or, my wife just filed for divorce. I have zero fucking money.
Yeah.
And well, here's 5 G's on fuck your life. You can pay me back later. No interest. This is a brother loan.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
I mean, there's so many times where guys come back from deployment and there's nothing in their house.
The tumbleweed treatment.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
Yeah. Everyone has a name for it. And you have to tell, hey, come stay on my couch. Like you have nothing left, and not only that, you got to watch them because they don't know what just happened. They're still in shock.
Oh, yeah. Usually I would take them aside and give them a bunch of booze until they start crying.
Yeah, that's.
And then after that, we start building from there.
Yeah, because they're in shock and they're too proud to admit that
And
maybe they should have seen it coming or whatever.
yeah, and men hold it in, and
Yeah.
I'm the same way, and that's probably why I'm on the 65 and out plan because I got too much stuff bottled up. I'm never letting it out.
Yeah, and why would you at this point, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was. Don't get me wrong. after I got divorced and all that shit happened to me, I was seriously considering doing some street sweeping with the 12 gauge for everyone involved.
Yeah.
But instead, I took all of that anger and animosity and I followed my own book and I banished it to the boiler room. So it does nothing but provide me with drive now.
Yeah. Keeps you burning with that passion to keep doing something. Yeah, because a lot of guys, it's not till like 5 years later they come to you or say, "Hey, man, thanks for being my friend through this time. I really thought about ending it." Like,
Yeah.
and then one of my best friends, I had to take a shift to Martin Luther King Day, 2019. I got a call from my chief. Hey, you need to take so and so's night shift. I was like, why? It's just you don't want to know. And
Uh,
I went and took the night shift, and then I found out that he had attempted, and he's fine now, but it's surreal because he was. I used to talk to him every day,
mhm. And
normal
a lot of,
conversation.
like with men, you
Yeah,
don't even know. You can't tell
no,
because, and most of the time, dudes don't do attempted.
yeah,
We're
it's
like, all right, I think we're done here. I'm going to hit the smart butt button.
yeah.
Next.
We're violent. We're gonna finish the job.
I wouldn't say violent. We're realistic and efficient.
Yeah,
And we're not doing it for help because nobody comes to help
no
us.
attention, nothing. We just wanted to end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it terrifies you because it's like then who else? You know, it could
It
be
almost got me.
yeah. I like is it
If it could get me, it can get anyone.
right? And it's like is this guy who is my friend that I did this with? Is he? You know, like I gotta check on him, and then it's your own family. Like, is my brother okay? And then it's yourself. It's just like, am I okay?
Hmm.
That guy was just like me. Like we're similar. We're just dudes. You
You
know.
never know.
And it's just you start really, there's this kind of like anxiety about like who would be next, and you don't know because some of these guys have perfect lives. Like my master chief, he said that he knew a CMC, which is for the guys that don't know, that's a command master chief, E9, highest enlisted rank on a command. Um, he had it all, perfect wife. He had two beautiful daughters, both going to college. Like he had the life that a lot of guys wanted, especially after 35 years in the military, and he ended it, done.
Hmm.
And I asked him like, Master Chief, like, what could you tell you? I mean, you guys were in the mess together. You guys talk. He's like, yeah, I talk to him all the time, and
Well, in
you
that
never know.
case, I've dealt with that as well. But in that case, a lot of that has to do with I refer to it as soul cancer.
Mm,
You go on deployment, you get exposed to some next level shit. When you come back, part of it comes with you. Like every time you step into the eye of oblivion,
mm,
part of it comes back with you. And then I call that soul cancer. It got Major Lance Waldorf. The reason I'm doing all this, that's what got him.
mm.
He went to Afghanistan, came back. Maybe he was exposed to some next level evil shit, and he just didn't sit well with him.
Yeah, burns you on the inside, and no one. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Terrence. It's just one of the things is that no one can relate to you. No one understands, and you just. I saw something terrible, and no
Mhm.
one. I can't tell anyone. I can't tell my wife and kids. I can't tell. They
Yeah.
won't understand. Maybe my buddies that were there with me, but that's
And I actually did a few videos on this one. I did one on the PTSD,
mm,
and I did one on the limbo of being caught between home and war.
mm,
There's a lot of guys deploy to war, and while they're there, like, I hate this place. I just want to go home. They go home, and they're like, I hate this place. I just want to go back to war.
mm-hmm.
And they're stuck somewhere in that limbo in between.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough because I'd say besides the military, getting out is one of the most dangerous times for men
Oh, yeah.
because we're going into kind of a different world. Like one of the things that bothered me is why people were so long winded and would talk so much to me, or they would send me these long. I got anxiety from reading long ass emails because in the Navy it was just like, be here, wear this uniform,
Who,
and
what, where, when, and how,
yeah,
why.
exactly, and don't be late. Very respectfully, chief asshole or whatever, right? And I'd be like, okay, cool, that was. And then my boss would send me 6 paragraphs. COVID is important here at this company, and I'm just like, what? Like, I would call people like, hey, I didn't understand the email. What is he trying to tell us something? And then
Bottom line it for me, please.
yeah, exactly. And I couldn't. Also, I couldn't like sleep. Obviously, there's a sleep thing. I couldn't sleep for months.
I
Yeah,
have a horrible time with sleep myself, and
yeah.
mine has to do, I think, with I took a pretty extensive brain injury when I got blown up in '04.
Hmm.
In the past 20 years, I think I have 2 months of good nights sleep, and maybe a month and some change of days that I didn't have a headache. 'Cause I have a headache pretty much every day. Sometimes they turn into migraines.
Hmm.
It's pretty debilitating, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
You come out of the military, with all these health issues, and
Well, it's the
luckily,
routine.
yeah, and then luckily, like for me, I just worked in the plant. I did a lot of firefighting on the side too, so my knees, carrying 60 pounds of that bottle and going up and down metal stairs for 6 years, 4 years, 6 years, kind of messes with you. That's all I have. But also, I think another thing that kind of affects guys that get out is that they have to come back to their family and they're different.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what we were talking before the show was you're crazy when you leave the military. All of a sudden, you're crazy, you know?
Yeah, I get that a lot too. Like my nieces and nephews call me crazy uncle
Crazy Uncle Pop.
because like I don't tolerate bullshit.
Yeah,
And
you're different.
my nephews that would do stupid shit, I'd be like, yeah, we're gonna have a problem. Especially like one of my nephews. Well, my sister got divorced, and I'm like, okay, move into my place, which is a big mistake, but it is what it is. And one of her sons had basically graduated from high school the year prior and done nothing. And I told her, I said, listen, I'm coming back on leave in like 3 weeks. He needs to have a job. It will go poorly for him if he does not. And sure as shit, I come walking in and I had to get all medieval on him, slap
Knife
him
hand.
around. Yeah. Well, no, he was not paying attention. He required some adjustments.
Mm.
Nothing bad, just enough to hurt his pride and ego.
Yeah, the
But
egos.
guess what? 2 weeks later, he's working.
Yeah.
I come back 6 weeks later after he's got a job. Now he has this huge screen and a new, desktop computer. And I look over the screen at him. Like, it's good to have money, isn't it? He's like, yes.
Yeah, it's just he was living in some kind of fantasy land where he
Yeah,
could just
but now
be.
he's making like between 60 and 70 grand a year. Got his own, vehicle. Living at well, he technically still lives in the house where I tooled him up at, but he's doing much better now.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of guys out there that need to have that
swift kick in the ass.
the male presence that grabs you by the scruff of the neck and like goes in your ear and like, what the fuck are you doing? Unfuck yourself.
Yeah,
You know?
I needed it.
Yeah.
I
I needed it when I went in the army at 17. I didn't have a father.
Yeah, and army. I think the military is the last.
It used to be. I wouldn't say it is now. The current military, I would stay away from it.
So current military. You see the commercials, the recruiting commercials. You see the cases. You see the
Which one? The girl with the two moms?
yeah.
No.
And then you see the Russian ones, and the Russians are like jump roping lines with fire on them and breaking bricks with which is probably fake too. But
It's all fake.
yeah, it's all propaganda. But um, one of the things that um, we see with these new guys that join the military, it almost feels like the cycle repeats for every boot camp graduating class. They get into the military. They want to marry the first girl that
Oh,
touches their PP. Like
I can tell
why
you why
is
that
that?
is.
Why do guys do that?
They want to replicate the feeling they had at home where they're
Mm,
at.
always wondered that. It's just like, dude, you just
That's
married.
why it is. That's why they do that. And I can't tell you how many times I've told dudes, "What are you thinking?" Oh, it'll be different. She loves me.
Every
I'll
time.
never. Like literally, I should put together a 3x5 card, and after they get done saying, I just hold it up and like, you covered all these. How did you do that? Because I hear it over and over again.
every time.
In fact, I'd have guys like, I'm getting married. I'm gonna have to counsel you. And we go through the counseling, and I'm like, did you go to this class? Did you go to that? La, la, la. And then in the corner, I would write 3 different attorneys' phone numbers. And what's that for, Sergeant? This is for the divorce attorney you're going to need anytime between 1 and 7 years from now.
Yep.
Here you go.
Yep. And here's a good place to bury your money. Start burying your money.
That's why I did Deploy Ahoy to help guys go on deployment so they did not come home to the tumbleweed treatment. I did one comedy video, Administrative Violence. That's maybe 15 minutes long. And then I made an actual course,
Yeah.
Administrative Violence, Divorce and Custody Edition.
So let's talk about that. Administrative violence. It seems that, in the red pill, we're always talking about bitches and hoes and accountability, whatever people are talking about these days. But let's talk about stuff that can, like probably save your career, save your life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
most importantly, save your mind. So administrative violence, you've definitely gone through that. I've gone through that. We've
Yes.
all, especially in the military, you've gone through some kind of paperwork oppression where you wanted to go on leave, but you couldn't because somebody else wanted to go on leave and because they liked them more. So you couldn't bury your father or something like that, or bury your grandmother because they had to go pick up their dog or something. So administrative violence, can you give us an explanation about how you broke down this course and how you teach
Well,
this course?
administrative violence is simply the tools that anyone can use to fight back against the corrupt system.
Mm.
Because let's face it, whenever you look at family court, it's a bureaucracy surrounded by a menagerie of other bureaucracies. And the key of administrative violence is to set it up so your opponent is fighting on multiple fronts. Because most people go into divorce court and it's a frontal assault. We all know frontal assaults are incredibly expensive in men and material.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure something out. So there are in the course, I basically show you how to set up these other bureaucracies to attack your opponent. The tax man, the state tax man, you can get law enforcement, you can CPS, and the list goes on and on.
I think that
But check this part of the administrative violence. It's already being done to you by your ex's attorney. They are doing administrative violence whenever they go, well, Your Honor, she's afraid that he might hit her.
Yeah.
Or, Your Honor, we're concerned about the children. Your Honor, and they're literally doing that. That is their level of administrative violence. The one I have, you circumvent that whole thing.
Yeah, it's cheap course. It could save you thousands and
Well, it was expensive the first time we put it out because the production cost.
right.
It's like 8 hours worth of video. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
gonna
that's expensive as hell.
That's like a college course credit,
Yeah, it's going to be on sale, I believe, from Memorial Day to I think Father's Day.
So this Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Administrative violence, get it, Memorial Day. So you don't go crazy. So we're talking about, we're very strategic here, obviously.
Everything is
Former
war.
Ranger. Yeah. The minute that your wife wants to divorce you, she's no longer your wife or your family.
She's
she
your
is
enemy.
the enemy.
That's
She
right.
is your number one enemy, and she is ruthless, wants to destroy you.
Absolutely correct. And I can't tell you how many guys I've saved because like, I love her and she's my wife. I'm like, she's your enemy now.
Yeah. It's over.
All right. This is now a battle and you're not going to win it, but maybe you can get away with enough personnel to reform and get on with whatever else you're doing.
Yeah. So right now, election year 2024, the soul of the country is in the balance. You have all these beards and these let's say older conservative women that are yelling at guys to get married and to that their version of the administrative violence course from Terrance Popp is the Bible. Like if you pray hard enough, if you sit down and you're righteous and you love God, you'll be okay, right? And I say that is one of the most dangerous things you could tell men.
Well, I have an acronym for that. Can't understand normal thinker.
Man, what a crazy acronym. I like it.
Like literally, like, will you pray hard enough, God will come down and give. No.
Yeah, and you have like these you'll have giant podcasts like Tim Pool where you have like someone like like Rollo Tomasi, and then next to a guy who just Rollo Tomasi would be like, this is what it is, and the guy next to him would be like, yeah, but what if you pray for 7 minutes a day? I'm like,
Oh, listen.
How can you face a nation of young men, especially guys in the military, getting like these guys are like hanging on by a thread. They're every day they're just like, I want to end this, and you have the gall to say just pray, you
Yeah,
know?
well, that's why I do what I do.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got over 1,200 videos across virtually every video platform on the internet. Just trying to get in front of these guys so they know, like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not the only one feeling this way, or I'm not crazy. I'm actually seeing this. This is real. And like most guys, they stay in the little bubble. They're all isolated. They're just going about their business.
yeah,
They don't know.
and you know, it just and then these people, they're like, why? Like I say, it's not that they want men to be better; they just want them to be better slaves for their
Yes.
wives,
Yeah.
and it's
No, we're
just
not
like,
doing that.
yeah, and
And
we're
here's
done.
another portion. A lot of the individuals that throw God at you, they have kids of their own, and they know that the system is coming down.
Yeah. They
It
want
is
you to sacrifice your life to make a better world for their kids, not for you, for their kids.
correct. Correct. And let's just be honest. 5.1 people out of 1,000 are getting married. I feel sorry for the guy who they sawed his head off to move him over to make him the point one.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it works. It's numbers. Crazy. And the word is out. The men out
They're freaking
there,
out, yeah.
yeah, the men out there are like, yeah, you can say whatever you want, but I've seen my father and my uncles and even my great grandfather possibly just get wrecked by this whole system. And now you're like, when is it going to be your turn? How about never?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Like it's quiet. My apartment's quiet. My house is quiet.
Yeah. And
Why do
that's
I want
another
to shoot
thing.
myself in the foot?
Somewhere around the age of 34, because most men before the age of 34, they're thinking with the wrong head, right? It's only got one eye on it.
It's very
It's
accurate.
it,
I
it,
just turned 35,
it
so
it's there, yeah. There's no depth perception,
yeah.
and then right at that point, somewhere that was down here that you didn't really pay attention to is called peace,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that actually rises to the top, and it never goes down again. That need for peace goes up and up the older you get.
It's insane. I didn't expect it to, because I turned 35 last February,
What I tell you,
and then as soon as I hit 35, I was just like,
I'll tell you, this is what it's like. All right, normally those gazumbas, those are great, but I think it's time we start talking about this deductible.
yeah, you like life becomes. It's just you want peace and quiet. More, I can't even explain it. You want peace and quiet. You
Yep.
don't want and I like one of the things, like I used to watch a lot of Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace, and he would do like big shows like Fox or whatever, and he would say, "We just want women around, but not like right next to us. We want them like in the rafters, or the famous joke. We want to be alone, but we want to be by ourselves, but not alone." I never understood that. And then I hit 35 and I'm like, oh, like I want to be on my computer bullshitting, and I want her to be like up the stairs doing laundry or whatever
Time and
she wants to
place.
do. Yeah. And then like, hey, me go to her and be like, hey, let's go get some ice cream or something. And then go back, and then go back to me being,
Mhm.
you know. And I tweeted that today. Like, I don't think most guys dislike women. It's just you spend too much time with them.
There's a reason soap operas have been around since they invented the radio.
Just to keep them busy.
No, they love the drama.
Yeah.
They like, if there's a reason the word frenemy was brought into reality.
Yeah.
Women have friends that are enemies. I just cannot understand that.
Yeah. They invite them into their house.
Yes.
Around their husband, around their everywhere, and it's just like
It's
she
literally
hates
like,
you. Yeah.
please just stab me in the back. It'll be okay.
I need to be a victim. I'm bored.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just as you get older, it's just I tell guys like, hey, you're gonna get to a point where it's not that you're not gonna want to date anymore. It's just she's not gonna be competing over other women. She's gonna be competing over your silence, like peace and quiet.
Mhm.
Because and for guys that are like want to get married or want to jump into a relationship, imagine you sitting in your underwear on your couch. You're enjoying a beer and you're just watching your favorite show or playing Call of Duty. You're at peace. Everything's quiet. You had a long day of work, and your wife is starting to schedule things for you that weekend.
It's called calendar sabotage. I've thought about this.
And that's why I wanted to. That's why
Yeah.
I brought it up, because it's one of those things that until you have a girlfriend and you're like kind of learning about her, the minute she starts doing that, your hairs on your back kind of stand up. And
'Cause you're
guys are like, I'm getting sex, so I don't care. But like, you're just like, no, like this ends here. I'm not gonna have. I'm not. My weekends are mine, and if I want to do something, I'll do it. But you're not gonna plan my weekend for me.
That's right, and they're trying to destroy your peace.
Yeah, I
It's
already had a
happened to
watch
me.
bill do it for 6 years. So
It's happened to me.
yeah,
Like, literally, I thought, yeah, the weekend, and maybe I'll mow the grass. I'm gonna chill out, and
yeah.
hey, we gotta go for such and such
You
a
gotta go to
house.
Costco for 3 hours.
They want, and I thought we're just visiting. I roll up there. There's a moving van. I'm like, I'm moving these people, aren't I?
You're just,
God damn it!
and there goes the weekend.
Well, because help somebody move, your back is going to be sore for like 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Average person.
Your disc on your lower back's gonna be kind of sore.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have like 1 or 2 smushed fingers, like
Every time.
yeah. And it's just, and the thing is, they don't even tell you. They just,
It-
hey, we're going to do this, and I'm like, sounds. What do you mean, just going to do that? It
That's why I call it sabotage.
yeah. So guys, as you get older, your peace and quiet is gonna be more valuable to you than you ever know. And don't feel guilty saying no to people who try to take away your peace and quiet. Like, you need that. As a man, you need your peace and quiet. Like,
Yeah. And
that is the most important thing about being a man, is just your ability to just be stoic and alone and relax.
just be the old guy, the old men out there. They still understand this. They look at their woman, just go, "You need to shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And they mean it.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm at bullshit saturation.
Yeah.
And just one more cup of bullshit, and it's all going to come uncontained. It's going to be ugly. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's ridiculous how some guys just let
They
women.
create their own monster.
Yeah, they don't know how to say no, or they feel guilty for trying to. You don't have to. You don't owe them an explanation. Hey, let's do this. I don't want to. Why? I just don't want to. I don't have to. I don't owe you an explanation. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, let's be honest. The minute you're like, I don't want to do that. Why? Well, this reason. Well, why that? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, they're trying to get you to say, or guilt you into saying yes or whatever. But
And we are where we are because women have blamed, shamed, and guilted us men into compliance.
it's the only thing they have right now, besides administrative violence.
That's all they've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, World War I, they used to pin feathers on guys who didn't enlist, which basically branded them as a coward.
Yeah.
And they went overseas, over the top, and then they become hamburger.
And only because of the shame. They didn't do it because they wanted to. It was because of the shame.
Oh, the shame. I mean, listen, whenever a war pops off, the guys who show up first are the warriors. You never have to look for those guys.
Yeah.
They start ringing the bell of war the next morning, or even before the sun goes down. They're at the gate chomping at the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the other guys you got to convince. They'll probably be okay as soldiers. Then you have the people you have to force. And after that, you have the people you have to chase down, which are pretty much worthless.
Yeah, you wouldn't want them anyway. We used to kick those out. We used to make excuses to kick those guys out because they didn't want to do their job. And man, 90% of your effort was getting those guys to do your job, because the 10% know what to do. But
Yeah.
those take so much. It's not even worth it sometimes.
Or even the people you don't have to supervise. You're like,
Yeah.
this is what I want. And this is what I want it done by. Roger.
And then they come back 5 minutes later, done. And you're just like,
Or if they can't get it done, they tell you why it wasn't completed. They don't pour a bunch of sand on the floor and do a soft shoe dance.
Yeah.
It's like, it didn't get done because we didn't have X.
Yeah.
Give me X, I'll get it done.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you too is that apparently you can't purchase ads on Military Times or Stars and Stripes.
Well,
Why is that?
Well, here's the story. I'm trying to build the Redonkulous brand up. I mean, they've got over 1,200 videos, 546 guys saved from suicide. I'm obviously doing something right, and I'm talking about a lot of the problems that are causing this in a very crass, boorish, direct kind of way. Words have power. If you tone the power out of the words, they no longer have power.
That's what they're trying to do. That's these people that shame guys just trading notes on making
Yeah,
men stay alive is like, I don't like that word, change it. And I was just like, that's not,
how it works.
no.
The spell has been cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we say dread. That's why we say all these words that people are like, I don't like that word. It's just like, yeah, well, we know.
Yeah. Well,
That's
guess
why.
what? Go blow a goat. I don't care.
The world isn't like the way you think it is. There's icky things that piss you off. I get it, but like, it's not my problem.
But the thing is like I I said in my advertisement, like, oh, that's unacceptable. I'm like, well, what's unacceptable? Well, you're saying suicide. Did you read the rest of it? Said I'm trying to stop suicide, or well, it's just we can't do it in this form or fashion. And then they tried to get me to just do an ad just for the book, and I'm like, wait a minute, why can't I do this? Well, it just our policies won't allow us to do that. I'm like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. And guess what? Every chance I get, I'm going to stand in front of as many people and say, listen, if you're in the military, Stars and Stripes, military times, that is Army times, Navy times, Marine Corps times, Air Force times. Don't buy that shit. Let it rot on the rack because they don't give a shit about you. Men are dying and killing themselves in the service, and they're more concerned over political correctness. In fact, we've gone beyond just suck a dick here. We're at suck all the dicks.
Yeah,
because
suck a bag of dicks.
That's no, you're beyond the bag of dicks. It's all the dicks.
Sea of dicks.
Go jump in a sea of dicks.
Yeah,
I got to write that down.
There is a lot of things that you see on a big scale that the military does that you can't believe as a guy who just got out. Because when you were in, you just didn't see it because you were deployed. You don't see the news, but then when you get out and you see it from the outside in, like my friends during the COVID, they only got one port call for like a whole 8 months, so they only got to see land for.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, and I'm just like.
That's why I didn't go in the Marine Corps. I'm a good swimmer. You take me out in the ocean where I can no longer see the land, I get very squirrely.
Yeah, people get a little crazy. They and then you had that one ship where like half the ship was infected with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't bring them home, and I'm like, I hope that mission they're doing is important because you have it was more. It was like 75% was infected with COVID, and we didn't know what it was back then.
No, I mean I've had COVID 3 times myself, and I'm unvaccinated, and I will not entertain getting a vaccine at all.
No, I'm not vaccinated either. They try to use administrative violence to shame and guilt to get me.
No, I was in the VA, and they're like, well, if you want to get treatment, you're gonna get the shot, and I'm like, listen, I'm an airborne ranger, Green Beret. I've seen 3 wars. 72 hours from now, I will know everything there is to know about you. You don't want me to know that kind of information about you. I didn't say anything other than that, and then they're like, okay.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, it was just it's insane that you can't purchase ads there, and it just shows like overall.
I can't even get TV commercials on regular TV either.
Yeah,
we're trying to film one. Well, we did film one. It was shot down immediately, and now we're trying to do another one that we're going to basically talk around the algorithm to make it.
There's people that I know that I have to hit up and be like, I need training on the TOS because if I want to do this stuff, like it feels like some of the dumbest reason. I think overall it's because what we talk about, but like they're trying to find us,
While you were on ship, on active duty, how many times did you have suicide stand down? Where they pull everyone in and they're like, watch your buddy, call this number, look for the signs. Did you do that at all?
It was pretty often.
Yeah, we did it all the time. It was stupid. I have literally, while I was in the service for 33 years, seen our government spend billions upon billions of dollars to hire psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors, and they have done about fuck all. Done nothing.
Yeah.
And now you got a guy.
It's like for optics to say, hey, we care.
Yeah. When you got a guy like me, I'm rough around the edges. I am the epitome.
You speak the language of like a psychiatrist is not going to speak their language,
I'm a grunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've been there. I've seen a lot of this shit. I've
You've made the
experienced most of it.
mistakes.
I've
Yeah.
made the mistakes,
Yeah.
and I'm laughing about it, and it's working. But they don't want to hear that because I'm politically incorrect.
You don't use the words that they want
I
to
don't want to
use.
use their words.
Yeah.
Those loose, gay butt twerking queer community in America. I'm not using your words. You can pound
Yeah.
sand. Don't care.
Well, they're ineffective because if I don't want to use their words, I want like the guy that speaks my language, you know. That,
Yeah.
and also I don't want to go to a therapy session
Like
where the
most
person's
grunts I know, and I've asked a couple guys this question. When you go in to see a psychiatrist, do you want to like, hey, how was your fucking day? What's going on? Or do you walk in there and have the guy go, hey, how can we unfuck you? What's going on?
yeah, I trust that guy
I'll
more.
be like, oh yeah, I'll take the unfuck guy for 10.
Yeah, there have been times when I was in nuke school, like I pissed off my LPO, and I would walk in, he'd be throwing a clipboard against the wall, yelling at somebody, and he'd be like, "Hey, what's up? I'll get with you. I'll be with you in a sec." And then he would continue yelling at the guy, and then he'd talk to me. He's like, "What the hell do you want?" Did you see? I'm like, I have this problem. You're like, okay, well, let me do some paperwork and we'll figure it out. But I'm busy. You know, like he'd be mad, but it shows that he kind of cared because you know. And I went a couple months later. I went to a what do you call the clergy inside the military again?
Chaplains.
I went to a chaplain. I had an issue,
And
and he was like, "All right, 30 minutes is up. Get out of my sight."
I have no faith in the chaplains. In fact, chaplain corps, fuck off. There you go.
And I was like, "Okay, well, it's always my tired, angry LPO that kind of pulls the strings that he can for me." But the chaplain just was like, "All right, 30 minutes up. Praise God. You know, pray. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in 3 months if you need me." And I was like, "This is probably what therapy's like. It's the same thing. It's just like, okay,
Yeah. We're starting. You're going to be done in 30 minutes. Move along.
yeah." And then he looks at his clock 10 minutes before, like, he's like, "Oh, this guy's not shutting the fuck up."
And here's the funny thing. My videos, I don't really charge anybody to watch them.
Yeah, they're all there. All of them.
I'm not trying to get rich here. I'm just trying to help people.
Yeah, and the
Like,
book, what is this? $20?
yeah. Like, I'm literally in a war with one of the primal forces of the universe, which is destruction. We refer to it more as death.
Mm.
And it's just me. So let's dial the war thing back to knife fight in an alley. Because I just can't get the exposure to get out in front of more people, see if I can help more people.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not me helping them, it's them helping themselves.
Yeah, because you can't save them, but you can give them the tools. Like, hey, unless it's like you're pulling them out of a car crash,
Yes.
like, metaphorically, and they have nowhere to go. But we want to give them the tools so they can save themselves.
Yeah.
Every day, save
But
themselves.
the thing is, if I give you the tools to save yourself, then you will have the tools to give to another person so he can save himself.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. Like, I read this stuff. I maybe watched some of your stuff, and now I got a text last weekend. My best friend, he said, "Hey, I didn't, talk about this, but thanks for being there. I didn't tell him, I didn't sit down to listen to his problems. We went to the gym together. You know, um, sometimes when we had really bad days, we would just go to Applebee's and just sit and stare at each other and eat. We both with no conversation.
That's another thing dudes can do.
Yeah,
Like,
just hang out. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you go to a therapist, whoever, and you don't want to talk. You just want somebody to just be there. And we go to sushi or Applebee's and just look at each other and I'm like, man, what a shitty day. He's like, yep.
Well,
And-
my psychologist that I talk to on a regular basis is now dead. He died of old age.
Okay.
It's a good thing. But I've attempted to talk to other ones. One of them, like, I walk in, nice looking woman, huge rack, immediately about face, walk out. I'm not even going to start.
Yeah.
Because I'll be doing this.
Whatever you say. Yeah. Yeah. What? What would you say? Can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. And people are like, oh, that dude pops. He's massaging his pig. Well, yes and no.
I mean, hey,
Or
like, I'm a guy.
I would talk to some of these guys and I'd be like, have you ever been to combat? No. And I'm out.
Yeah. I tried to go to therapy during COVID, but I didn't trust any therapist that didn't serve. I'm just like, you guys,
That's right.
why would I, you don't know. Like,
Now, granted, I will cut more leeway for a dude that was a veteran than I will for a turd flinging monkey Gen Z guy. I can't tell how many times. Like, here's an instance. You were just talking. Did you talk about the Indianapolis, the one that was sunk during World War II?
I think so.
All right. I was literally in the airport. My flight had been canceled. I am hungry. I am pissed off. I got my ex-wife with me and my 2 kids. We're going to try to find another flight. And this one dude cuts in front of me. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Nah, nah. And then I see the tattoo on his arm of Indianapolis. And I'm like, I'm wrong. Here you go.
Have a nice day.
Yeah. I mean, you'll cut other veterans slack.
Yeah.
Like, I've got out a couple tickets.
Or you see the Purple Heart license plate, and you're just like,
actually, I have the Purple Heart.
You cut me off. Hey man, sorry. You got places to be. Sorry.
My last Purple Heart is stuck in the dashboard of my car, and it was presented to me when I went and signed for it from the post office.
Really?
Yeah. So if I ever get any like super awards or anything, I'm gonna say, well, you know what? Just mail it to me and I'll sign for it. It's very efficient.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet a lot of guys that have Purple Hearts, they probably think the same way. They're just
Yeah. If I could give my Purple Hearts back and get my health, I would do it in a second because I have some significant health issues from my service.
Yeah. It's a crazy world out there, and I'm glad that guys like you, giving.
I believe I'm the only individual
Right.
identifying as a comedian who's going directly against suicide.
Yeah, everyone else is taking it too seriously. Like you take it seriously, but like laugh a little bit. Like that's what we did in the military. When things were hard, we just laugh it off.
Well, my comedy, like if you look at the other comedians out there in comedian land, they start off at open mic nights, they move up, But let's face it, they go to the clubs. There's a true 2-drink minimum. Half the people show up on wacky tobacco. And I'm not saying their job is easy because it most certainly is not. But my comedy was performed in front of men who were broken, terrified, paralyzed with fear, hopeless. You go down the list. And on a few of those occasions, I'd get them laughing and they would follow me into battle.
Yeah. You'd be crazy how easy it is to get guys on your side as long as you acknowledge their struggles, but also make them laugh.
Well, here's a funny story. Ranger Indoctrination Program, I believe it was 1988. All right. We're at the part of the RIP where we're doing the jumping. We're doing a full combat gear jump. Standing on the tarmac, and we just hear a tornado siren. Tornado warning thing.
Mm-hmm.
And right down the middle of the sky, it is soupy green on this side, and it is totally clear on this side. And we're putting on the stuff, and we get checked out. We're getting on the bird, and the RI's like, yeah, well, we're jumping. I'm like, did you see the tornadoes? He's like, we're still jumping, Ranger. You do realize I have a death sail on my back if it. He's like, get in the bird. So I look at him and I make like I'm smoking a bong, and I'm like, I'll jump the lightning. And everyone cracks up. We get on the bird, and luckily we didn't die in a tornado. But we jumped that day. That was insane.
Yeah. I don't know the rules of jumping, but I'm guessing a tornado is not a good idea.
Yeah, everyone on the bird is just like, this is crazy. We're going to die. But once I got them laughing, like, fuck it. We'll all jump the lightning.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Yeah, I mean, that's the part that everyone misses. Like, these hags that nag men, these traditional conservative wives that argue.
Oh, there's another N-word for that. Not the king of the N-words. But right below it, for the women who are married or in long-term relationships, naggers.
Naggers, yeah. And they say they're always telling us what to do. It's just, or what we should do.
And they do it like this. Real men would do this.
Yeah, and your antennas have to prick up every time you hear the word should or real men should, because they're trying to tell you something outside of your frame. Like, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I want. And you're 1,000 miles away. Nothing you do or say affects me at all.
Anyway. That's right.
Yeah. Not even the president. What the president says affects me. Why would you say, like, you don't have any power? And that's why I asked these women on like Twitter or whatever platform, what's your plan? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shame me into not enjoying my peace and quiet and not getting married because I don't want to? Like, what is your plan? Like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
Yep.
But
I did a video a while back called "Sell Me Marriage." There's no selling points for it. Well, you get a companion, buy a dog. Well, they'll love you. Eat dark chocolate, drink whiskey. There you go.
yeah, and then the more controversial videos you have, like prostitute for his wife.
Oh, you like that one?
It's a fan favorite. I've heard it's a fan
Yeah.
favorite.
I think that's called Hoe versus Ex-Wife.
Yeah, hoe versus
Yeah.
ex-wife. Yeah, and it's just you're calculating the cost. It's not a politically correct video, but that wouldn't be on brand for Terrance Popp if it was. So
Yeah.
it's just a great video because guys get so focused on the oh, she touches my pee pee part of a relationship. Like,
Yes.
dude, she's gonna be around all the time, 24/7. Think about the other 99% of the relationship
Well, the
outside of the
first 2
bedroom.
years, after 2 years, let's all be honest, the box wears out,
Yeah, you get bored.
and all you're left with is crazy if you selected wrong.
Yeah.
So now you have a crazy woman under your care, living under your roof, who's got a blown out snot pocket that you don't want to touch anymore. You want that is the definition of hell, or at least limbo.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you have to have the foresight to think ahead and all that. So it's just I hope guys can really see past this new conservative grift of pray and get married and all your problems will be solved.
If they want to actually fix the problem, you're going to have to disassemble family court. You're going to have to get rid of no fault divorce. First option, if there is a divorce, is 50-50 custody, and child support should be on a rare occasion or only if needed. And we need to get rid of alimony, which I refer to as Alice isn't horny anymore money.
Yeah. One of my
That
favorite words
that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is 2024 and we still got to.
So yeah, and like Robin Williams, he was paying alimony to 2 ex-wives, from what I was able to ascertain from doing my research.
Brendan Fraser, right? Paid.
Yeah, I did a Pimp Tart Wife Statute on him. I'm sorry if you ever see that. I did
He
one on Tyson.
um the guy who used to play the Green Ranger from Power Rangers. I forgot his
Yes,
name.
I don't remember his name either.
He we lost him because of his. We're losing so many people. Really don't when they're fighting guys just trading notes and talk about this. This is the end game. Because what if you could have gotten to some of these guys? You know, what if you would have bumped shoulders and you're like, hey, I've seen you before. What are you?
Yeah.
You're a YouTuber, and at least put the idea in his head that, hey, maybe what he's doing or what he's thinking ain't the
Well,
right thing.
the one story that sticks out the most when we talk about the stopping suicide, and this, I don't know when this one came in. It was a couple years ago, but the dude literally was sitting on his couch. He had had enough. He had his revolver and a bottle of whiskey. He's like, when this whiskey's gone, so am I. Turned on the tube. Before you know it, a couple redonkulous videos popped up. He started watching more and more. He got sucked into it. Before you know it, it's dawn. There's no more booze, and he went to bed. He didn't kill himself.
Yeah, a lot of guys have dates and they put off their date because they saw.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll have that privilege to maybe help a guy. I helped one guy and that was my best friend. Right, I didn't even know I was helping him because all I did was hang out.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, dude, what are you doing this weekend? Just somebody telling him that, and then I always like kind of just listened to, like, he only had access to his daughters once a year because when you're deployed
Yes.
in divorce, you don't get to see your kids.
No,
Like, people
that's
don't
why
understand that.
I made a video years ago called "Deploy Ahoy,"
Yeah,
and I've run into this, guys. Literally buy birthday gifts and presents for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, and store them in a room on the off chance that someday when their kids reach the age of 18, they will come look them up, and they'll have physical evidence that, no, I did not forget about you.
yeah,
You were taken from me. There's a difference.
right. And it's tough. And his boss, senior chief E7, or sorry E8, would told him, hey, if I were you, from an E7 to an E8 to E5, he told him, if I were you, I would have gone AWOL a long time ago because I'm not gonna see my kids. And two little girls, he loved them and they loved
Yeah.
he loved them. So
I mean, I did something similar. When I got stationed in New York, I drove 571 miles one way twice a month to see my kids, and I was not under a pass or leave 100% of the time.
and it's like, what do you expect a man to do?
I literally would go to my chain of command. I need a pass. They're like, why? I'm going to go hang out with whores in Buffalo. Oh, that sounds productive.
Yeah, for that. And and then when he got to see his kids, his eyes would light up because
Yeah.
guys, we're still guys. We still like our children. We like our own kids.
And see, that's the thing that the feminists push is like, we're not emotionally invested in our children at all, and they mean nothing to us. That
It's
is
such a
the farthest
so
thing
evil,
from
yeah.
the truth. Like, when a man loves, he will surrender his life for what he loves. Women don't do that. A woman, or women in general, will sacrifice their family for their happiness, and a man will sacrifice his happiness for his family.
Which is what's keeping this country together right now.
And it's gonna fly apart because they fucked over the dudes too long.
Yeah, and they'll see guys that are happy and alone and living the life they want, and they'll be like, "My life is a lie." And they'll see guys that are single dads still get to see their kids and still happy because somehow they beat the system.
Yeah. Well, there are guys who are fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, and they'll be like, "What am I doing? Like, what is the point of all this?"
I knew a guy in the service. His wife had died, and he did fine raising his 4 kids.
Yeah, and kids always love their dad
Yeah.
because dads don't nag. They just, hey, don't break anything, do your homework, and we'll go to ice cream, and that's it. Simple. What kind of kid doesn't love that? A clear goal, clear rules, and a clear reward.
Even if you screw up, I'd be, especially with my kids. For instance, I come around the corner in the kitchen, and my oldest she was like maybe 6 at the time, standing on the counter, mouthful of Oreo cookies, holding the bag in her hand, and I get that, and I'm like, what's going on here?
They're freaks.
And she doesn't say anything. I'm like, you better put 4 of those on a plate and bring me on the couch. And I just like leave. I don't say nothing about it.
Those are the memories that the kids grow up, because like those are the memories that I had with my dad. Like the best memories were, it was just my mom was off somewhere, and it was just me, my brother, and my dad at home.
Yeah.
And we ended up wrestling, and then we'd like break a lamp, and he'd be like, "Don't tell your mother." And we just all get together and sweep, because I was like, we broke something and my mom liked it, so we put it away. And then you realize like there's like a secret kind of bond between the father and the kids, and we don't care about that. We just, fathers are bad.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that a lot of people that have had that, like I was lucky, my dad is still in my life. Not lucky. It's normal to have, it's
Yeah.
shouldn't be lucky, but there's always a secret kind of like behind the scenes bond you have with your parents and your father, and it's sad that people are fighting tooth and nail to destroy that at every opportunity. I can't imagine. And
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? But speaking of that, dog tags, right? To wrap up, you have a bag full of dog tags.
I have a bag full of dog tags, and I refer to this as ransom.
Yeah. So explain the ransom to us.
So this is a very negative world I deal with. I talk to dudes on the edge all the time, either direct to their face, email, phone, text, whatever. And it wears on you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I started, every time I would hear anyone say, "Hey, Pop, you kept me north of the grass," I put a dog tag in the bag. And the first video we put out was Purple Heart's Final Beat. And that came out in 2009, I believe. And by 2011, we were in the 120s-ish guys who credited that video from keeping him from killing himself. And, I would get DMs, text messages. Some guys would tell me to my face, and I'd put them in here. And I started issuing numbers to guys in the low 60s. And guys would be like, "Hey, you kept me from killing myself. Hey, you're number 63. You're just 64. And I really should have been more serious about it. I didn't really take it as it was that important until years later when I was talking to a counselor who was also a Catholic deacon.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking. He was smoking, and we were both drinking whiskey. And I'm like, so you're a counselor? You know, how many guys do you think you've kept from killing themselves? He goes, oh, right around 25, 30 guys. And by then I was like in the, 260s ish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we have something in common there. He goes, really? How many people have you kept from killing themselves? I'm like 260. And he goes, what? And I gave him my card and I showed him my YouTube videos. He goes, and that puts me to shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally, and most people, when you give them a number, they don't really understand what that number is.
Yeah.
It's just a number until you see it.
Yeah. And then let's spread them out.
And this one here, this is actual dog tags from a dude who was getting stationed in Alaska, stopped in Michigan to give me these himself and say, you kept the gun out of my mouth. That's a lot of time. They say money can't buy time, and they would be right. This was paid with something else, and it was very expensive, and it cost me everything.
That's why you do this. You know, that's why we do this. Is ultimately, we don't want. What is it that you say? We're tired of burying them. Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of throwing dudes in the dirt.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. It's stupid. It's pointless. If these dudes just knew the deal from the beginning and they can control the dick thinking, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. We'd be somewhere else.
Well, we wouldn't be in the horrible state of desperation that we're in. Because guess what? Men aren't coming back to the plantation. As people get older and more women are single and never get married, it's going to become desperation.
Mm-hmm.
And I dare say, if you go by the historic examples, it's going to get violent.
Yeah. I think we're at a point where the response first is like, try to nag men back into the plantation. Not happening. Not very effective at all.
No.
We have whole wedding industries collapsing because, diamond industries because men aren't buying expensive diamonds for women anymore.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, if you were going to buy say a $10,000 diamond for a woman that hadn't slept around and she was quality and you actually thought she was wife material, that's one thing. But $10,000 to marry something that fell out of the whore tree. Like, listen, gentlemen, do not shake the whore tree and expect a wife to fall out. It's not going to, that's what I did. Don't be me. In fact, now it's so bad out there. People are shaking the marriage tree and only whores are falling out. We are fucked.
No more shaking trees.
We're fucked.
Just don't shake trees,
But, and this is only the first bag. I have more. I'm working on the second bag.
Yeah,
this is only 500.
This is the first time I saw this was when you were on Fresh and Fit.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this guy? Like, dog. And then you said the story, and I'm just like, Jesus, like this is important, like this stuff. We joke, we make jokes, we like to have debates, whatever, discussions, but just realize that this is important, guys. This is very, very important because it's you. It's about you.
It's life and death.
Yeah.
Nothing is more important than life and death.
Yeah. And take it from a former Army Ranger, Terrance Popp, and there's nothing more important than keeping yourself alive. Like that's the number one thing you have to worry about. And this is part of that, guys. These discussions, these courses, these books, these funny jokes all have one goal, is to keep you alive. So Pop, tell us what you got cooking.
Well, my third novel should be coming out this year. I have a fourth one that's about halfway through. I've been slowed up this year because my mother spent 2.5 months in the hospital beginning of the year. She's getting older. It's just a matter of time. I've been kicking around trying to do some stand-up comedy, but I'm a white guy.
You got it.
Well, I'm doing it on the internet, but I'm a white guy. Wrong sex, wrong sexual orientation, and wrong politics.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
You're too useful to society.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I'm useful.
That's what Cappy would say.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Shout out Cappy. You should have stayed a couple more days, Cappy. We could have had fun.
I heard I missed him by a few days.
Yeah, 2 days ago I think he was here. Yeah.
some good shit. He's a good dude, and I
Yeah, he
covered.
bought me a cigar and whiskey. He bought me my whiskey and my cigar.
Yeah, I read most of his books, and I did a couple shows for him on there, and his books are they put my math skills. He puts them to shame. My math skills are for mostly for shock value and comedy.
His are like
His
they're
are the real.
autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been reading his stuff since 6, 7 years ago, and I got to meet him for the first time, and it's crazy that one of your favorite writers, he buys you a cigar. So
That's cool.
I'm glad to know you guys, and we're all just dudes. At the end of the day, you meet these guys, and they're just all of it. Don't look up to any of us. Look up to yourselves because we're all just dudes. We have our own problems, and yeah.
Yep.
Terrence just has ransom to collect.
That's it.
So all right. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing, and hope to see you again soon.
All right, cool. I'm looking
Thanks,
forward
guys.
to it.